Hi, we're Auction Conservation, and this is the Shoot Room Sessions. Hi, Abby. Welcome to the Shoot Room.
Thank you.
It is awesome to have essentially the architect of this podcast on as a guest.
I am definitely not. No, definitely not.
So fine. Who was the first person to suggest we should have a podcast?
Well, I don't know, but
You?
no, it definitely wasn't.
Okay, tell my version of that story.
I don't know what your version is, but a year ago we were at my intern day,
Which is this year's intern day today.
Today,
And
yeah.
through that when we're recording.
Yeah. And then I was talking with Elle, my line manager, the head of marketing, and she was like, "What would be like a dream of yours if you were to do marketing here?" And I said, "Oh, it'd be really cool to like work on a podcast." And we definitely agreed on it. So I don't know.
Elle's off camera going, yes, it's you.
It definitely
Take the credit, Abby. You like the original spark of this.
So I think what was really cool about that, and we were talking about this earlier, Elle and I definitely, our minds are like connecting a lot more, and I think maybe it started then.
That's beautifully frightening for all of us, especially Josh. So, an unusual start to the Shoot Room. Abby, can you tell people who you are and what you do?
Yes, so I'm Abbey Dudas. I'm the engagement specialist at Auction Conservation.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we love having you as part of the team.
I love being part of the team.
Can you take us on your journey from home to being part of OC?
Yeah, so I'm, if you couldn't tell from my accent, I'm from Canada, and love Canada, always kind of wanted to stay there, and did my undergraduate degree there in biology and psychology, then went to work at an environmental charity for a little while and decided I wanted to go back to school. And so I came to the UK to do my master's degree in environmental psychology.
And there's not a lot of places that offer that, right?
No, it was the first school in the world to offer it 50 years ago. We just had the anniversary this year. So yeah, I decided to come here because professors were incredible. They had, great resources and great opportunities, with the intent of going back to Canada though. But then decided to stay because OC is so great.
And how did you find out about last year's intern program? How did it come to you?
So when I finished my master's degree in 2022, I was planning on going back to Canada, but decided to stay because I met my partner here, and he's from the UK. Yes, hi, Philip. But yeah, so I decided to stay, and I need a job. I was working for a YouTube channel at the time, freelance, and that was part of the reason I decided it would be okay to stay because I could just do it from anywhere. But that ended up not working out completely, so I needed a job. So I just found it on LinkedIn, this advertisement for OC, the internship.
Can you remember what the advertisement was like? What caught your eye about it?
So it was a very vague advertisement. And I think it started with looking for like the crazy ones, misfits, the rebels. And I thought it was a bit weird at first. But yeah, I thought it was a really cool way to advertise an internship. I loved that it was open-ended as well, because I'm interested in a lot of different things, marketing and communications being one of them, but environmental restoration work is another passion of mine. And so I loved being able to create a tailored application that was, specific to me, but then also would work for OC. So I loved that it was open-ended and that I could just talk about what I could bring to the team. Yeah.
Just nice. So take us through your experience then. So application came in and then there was a video part of that process. Who did you meet on that part of it?
Yeah, so my first video that I received was a video from you, actually.
Right, okay.
Saying that I made it to the long list, basically, that I could come and have an initial interview with a couple members of the team, and one of which was a sponsor, so somebody that had picked me out of the application pool and said, I really want them to be part of the team, and that was Elle, the marketing manager, and so I met with Elle and Katie, who's the team coordinator, but that's changing now. But yeah, so
Katie just runs everything.
Yeah, she's just the boss of everything. Yeah. So I met with them for about 30 minutes, and it was such a lovely conversation. It definitely did not feel like an interview at all. We started talking about sustainability and passions and just things that we love to do, and I think we really connected in those 30 minutes. And then was brought to the intern day in January, I think it was. Yeah,
we're a bit later last year.
Yeah, and we got to go to Leon, which was absolutely incredible, and I was so excited to get invited to go there.
So just on that, in terms of the timing, so the reason we went from January last year to December this year is actually you and the other intern cohort that we had last year, many of which are still with us, said, no, do the assessment in December because it's going to be much easier for people who don't have exams in January, who have exams in January. So we wanted to clear it so it was the most optimum time to be comfortable for the candidate.
Yeah.
I think that's something under sort of Andrew, our head of people's leadership as well, that we wanted to craft a process that's about the candidate, not about us. Because so many graduate schemes and intern programs are always like, no, we're this amazing company and you're lucky to even have an interview. Do as we say. Yeah. And we want it to feel the exact opposite way, because the most talented people, whether they realize it or yet, have tons of choice in the market. So we wanted to be the company that cared about them and opened up opportunities. So, so Leon, take us. So what was your mindset when you were coming to that event? So you knew there was a group of people coming for that assessment?
Yeah. So initially I think Elle invited me during our initial interview.
Which, she did.
Yeah. I think so that I knew I was going to get invited, and then got the formal email invitation afterwards. And that initial 20 minutes after I was invited, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm so excited. What an incredible opportunity. And then the realization set in that I was going to have to compete for my spot with other people. And I was going to have to, put myself out of my comfort zone and really, just shine, I guess. So that nervousness set in. And I was terrified to come. I'm not going to lie. I think the train ride to Exeter, I was freaking out the entire time, and then got picked up at the train station.
What were you freaking out about?
So I'm definitely more introverted and quieter. I'm not somebody that's super outgoing and loud. And that's always kind of been an issue for me. I've always kind of been self-conscious about it. And so I thought, I'm going to have to come to this day. There's going to be other people competing for this spot. They're probably going to be really bubbly and lovely and wonderful and smart. And my voice isn't going to get heard. Basically, I was worried that I was going to have to put on this persona that I'm somebody that I'm not. And so I just was worried about that. And I think the great thing about OC and the great thing about that day is that everybody looks at the individual, and we're not a cookie cutter bunch. And I think Elle and Katie deliberately put me in a car with you to lay on, because they knew that I would benefit from some one-on-one time and being able to talk with you.
And that was a really laid back, easy journey, quiet all the way there.
No. This is my first time meeting you as well, so I had no idea what to expect. And we got in the car to go to Leon, and the first thing you said to me was, okay, tell me your life story. I was like, oh my gosh, okay. But
that went on for about 45 minutes, me asking you questions?
Yeah, and to be completely honest, I don't remember a lot about what we talked about, because I think I blacked out a little bit. But I remember the morning of when Ellie and Katie told me that I was going to be in the car with you and Dan. It's like, okay, this is my opportunity. I'm either going to get the job or I'm not, and it's going to be dependent on this car journey, because if I don't get it, that's my fault. I have the opportunity to get my voice heard now. I don't have the excuse of being quiet. So it was, such an incredible journey, because, just got to chat.
You didn't make me sound like an absolute monster during this journey.
I definitely did not make you sound like a monster. I definitely didn't. What?
You were charming and eloquent and insightful and fantastic, to the point whereby, so the backdrop of this as well is we'd been at an event in London with some partners the night before. So several of us had driven back through the night. Was going on 2 hours sleep, and I couldn't see anything. So I was having this conversation with you, and I had a migraine, so I literally couldn't see. And you just blew us away. You were just so amazing. Before you walked in the door to the house, you'd got a job. It was, and what's amazing is, so you literally put yourself outside that comfort zone and went, right, I know an opportunity will present itself, and I'm going to take it. And you did, which was just super amazing.
Well, I was given that opportunity, and that was just, I felt incredibly grateful and lucky to have that opportunity, because I know not everybody else got to sit in a car with you for 45 minutes.
As we arrived at Leon, Dan just looked at you, didn't he? And went, it's always like this.
Yeah.
It kind of is. I think you weren't given anything. You earned it by your application, by how you were on the first call. Also, a feature of you working with us is you are the most humble and understated person ever, but so talented, Abby. Everyone around the room's nodding right now, by the way.
Gonna make me blush. Gosh.
And we should. And you mentioned earlier about how more introvert. I think, in my experience of working with you, that's true to start with, but certainly after you got to know us, playful and comedic and clever and it's insightful in every which way.
I think it does come with some level of comfort with knowing people for sure. But it was something that I always struggled with, and I think in the conservation sector, there's this group of people that are really enthusiastic and bubbly, and that is wonderful, and I love that. But I'm just not like that right off the bat, and so it was always something that I thought I needed to be to work in conservation. But I just love that OC was able to see my strengths and my individualness.
All you needed to be was you.
Well, yeah, and that's what I love about the company.
Good, thank you. What does every day look like for you? What's a day-to-day work?
It changes every day. There's a lot of jobs. So I'm part of the marketing team, and so I support a lot of the marketing jobs that we're doing in projects. One of the big things that I'm a part of is the newsletter, Field Notes. So monthly we release like an e-newsletter, and it's a really fun job to have. I love being able to hear some of the stories that the team brings, and then being able to communicate that to people online, and taking Josh's incredible photos and making this beautiful kind of project every month. Really rewarding. And then
that is a bit that's worth pausing on, actually, because I think so many companies, especially in the environment sector, don't invest in the content they need to do a good job. So remember when Elle first came to work with us, saying, look, we have had a photographer from employee number 3. James would disagree, but employee number 3. So all that backlog of too much content, photos and videos and everything else, because from a marketing perspective, if you haven't got material to work with, it's like asking someone to sit at a pottery wheel and giving them no clay. And you need to invest it. So if you're starting a new business, especially in every space, but in the environmental space, work with creative professionals that can give you content to showcase what you do.
And it's easy to craft like this beautiful story and project from Josh's content, and it's just a joy to do every month. I really do love it.
So how many have we released now?
We're just working on the 6th, so the January will be the 6th.
There's so much that's been built since you've been here, so that's part of it. Been involved in the podcast. How many episodes?
Oh, I have no idea.
You can say it.
Yeah. 17. Okay, wow, yeah.
From concept to, we did the first one in August, September, which is incredible. And such amazing feedback from that.
Yeah, and that is so fun. I think you talk a lot about like the surface area of luck, but I think there's a surface area of communication as well, and I love that we're spreading that through newsletter, podcasts, and your articles as well on LinkedIn, just trying to...
Which you edit all of those.
Yeah, that is a big part of my job as well. Yeah, which they're a joy to edit. I love it. I think the narratives that you craft like weekly, I don't know how you do it, but...
We travel a lot.
Yeah, yeah, but it is, I do love reading them every week, and they're always so insightful and helpful, and they really help my understanding of OC and environmental work. And
that's kind of why I do them. It's how I process certain... My brain kind of works in like, I think some people thinking in like long form sweeping thoughts, and it takes them like 2 weeks to craft something. Whereas most things, if I think of an idea, I've like 20 options immediately and I have to pick one. But a lot of the things we deal with and that I write about are multifaceted, and the process of writing makes me slow down and consider the different, like wind and community engagement and agriculture, all those things that there isn't a simple answer because it's complicated. You give me some awesome feedback. So I love when you're like, oh, I love this sentence, or that's nice, or nope, redo this, or it's complete. I love that you're honest with me and say, no, I don't like this bit, that hasn't worked. Why do you feel able to?
I mean, you encourage that. You're like, every day, I think you encourage the entire team to offer feedback. And from day one in my internship, I got to be part of the team calls and hear discussions from people. And I think there's always been that culture of give your opinion when you have it and ask questions if you have it. And you're here for a reason. Your opinions are valid. So I think it's just the culture of our team.
I love hearing, because that's our intention. That's what I want it to feel like. But you can try and build something and craft something, but you can't receive it as the other person. So it's useful to test that. And for anyone who's running a business out there, if you don't have that, you're wasting the talent in your business. Hire people better than you and then ask them what to do. And if they're not being honest with you, you're wasting it. And I always remember being taught early in my career, if your team aren't honest with you, you are in a ticking clock to problems because you won't see it coming. And you've got to invite that feedback. So we've got the newsletter, we've got the podcast, we've got articles that are produced. You also edit the weekly update, which goes to our board, so more formal internal reporting.
Yeah, so it's about 3,000 words every week that the team kind of writes, and then we send to the board talking about everything that's happened that week. So I edit that every week with you.
And that's got to be flawless, right? We don't have any. So 150,000 words to them across the course of a year, which is mad. Even I'm staggered with the volume of content we're able to produce.
Yeah, I was just in my review with Elle, and I had some numbers in there. I was like, oh my gosh, it's been a lot of words that I've read in the past 4 months.
Do you remember some off the top of your head?
4,000 words for the newsletter in 5 issues. 40,000 words in weekly updates in the past quarter. So just.
And we've written 70,000.
Oh yeah, I mean, you've written so much, and it's got to be close to 100,000 now if you include everything.
Up next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. And another key part, and I think maybe the thing you do, as long as all the things you do awesome, the thing you do especially well is you listen better than anyone I've ever met, I think.
Oh my gosh.
And that plays out so well in terms of local community events. So I invite feedback all the time. Please give us more. But it is hard. I sometimes find, we spoke about this over breakfast, that the volume of negativity, so we can be in one place and for that community or people, that's the one hot issue they want to talk about. But we've also been somewhere the day before and the day after. And also my view as someone who's hugely fortunate to lead a business is I should carry the heaviest load. So if it is horrible, I should go to that. When it's a lovely event, we had the most wonderful local event at Mornicott last week. I didn't need to be there because it was just nice and lovely, and everyone else can hear the nice. Everyone's nodding around the room, by the way. And so sometimes that feels really heavy to carry. And I'm broken to the point of I have to try and solve problems for people. So if someone says, oh, this is an issue, I'm like, okay, what can I do to solve it? I don't know how to. I find it very difficult. I'm working on just listening to listen. And you do that so beautifully.
Oh, thanks.
How are you?
I don't know. I think maybe it's my quiet nature. I'm not sure. But I think people come with emotion when they come with negativity. A lot of it is, fear of change or frustration that they weren't included. And, those emotions are strong. And it's hard sometimes to hear negativity. But I think it's important for us to remember that those emotions come from a place of love most of the time, and they just want to be heard. And so giving people that opportunity to be heard is something that I find very important, because I think it's also about giving people the opportunity to change their mind. And if we followed negativity with negativity, you're not giving somebody the opportunity to change their mind or hear our side of the story. And I think if you approach something with love and compassion and care, you're more likely to have somebody reciprocate that in the future, and then potentially change their opinion.
I think it's amazing how you don't carry it either. So I will be able to do the interaction. I'll be able to be courteous and kind of appreciate what they're saying. I'll walk away and then I'll be depressed for an hour, and I'll come and talk to you, and I'll be like, but they just they don't want anything. They just wanted to tell me everything's bad. I just hate everything. I'm like, I can't help them. And you're like, you're not meant to.
No.
You did help them by listening, and that's and that's the bit I'm working on trying to understand and recognize.
And we did have that opportunity recently at an event where I could see that demeanor change just by listening to somebody, and that gave me so much joy. I loved that. That was the first time I've been able to do that with OC, and I wasn't fixing anything for them, and they know that, and but it was that opportunity for them to just voice their opinions and their frustrations that.
And I think you and Elle and others and Katie are much more effective at doing that now, because with some of our external stuff, we're at the point whereby people won't be honest with me either. So I sat in the room with people who we knew had some challenges about land use change and listened. And I sat with them for over an hour talking about everything, and they were really open about their family and issues and stuff. And as soon as I left the room, they said, oh, I'm not really happy about this. And one of the team went, okay, you could have mentioned, I should have mentioned that to Rich, really. but they didn't feel like
Maybe, yeah.
wanted to. Like they were talking to the job title rather than the person, perhaps.
Yeah.
But whereas you receive it so well, I think it's a key feature of how we're going to do everything moving forward is to try and get you to as many sites as possible to do that.
I love that. I do love it. Yeah.
Amazing. So that segues into 2024. What do you hope we do as a company? What and it can be any part of the company. It can be sort of acquisitions, the vision side of it, or specifically the marketing. What are some of your hopes and dreams for 2024?
I think just reaching a wider net of people through the podcast, through the newsletter. I think that is a real opportunity to have like champions for us, giving them information and sharing stories. I would love to be able to share like actionable things that are happening on our sites and just have people be able to watch everything unfold, because I love to watch everything unfold. And I know that that would be something that everybody would love to read about and listen to. And so being able to continue to share those stories, I think, is one of my big hopes. And just being able to see all of that work happening and then translate it to
which is a very timely nod to explain to people we have 3 potential content creation interns sat in the room watching this to help do exactly that, to bolster what we're doing for next year. Okay, and what about, so I have a playful vision that 2025 we might go internationally. Talk about how you'd feel about that.
Well, I'm a little biased, but I think North America would just be amazing. And I could work in Canada tomorrow if you wanted me to, legally. I would still work for Elle and everybody else, but, you know.
I mean, so Elle is busy like freaking out that Abby might move to North America. But she's also decided that she's moving to Australia. Several times the last few weeks, I was like, no, I'm going to set up the Australian branch of what we're doing. That's done. Don't even need to talk about that.
No, I think anywhere internationally, like the scale of opportunity is just so exciting, regardless of where that is. Canada would be a dream of mine. Eventually, I would love to move back to Canada. But I do think...
No time soon though, right?
No.
Okay. Lost.
Yeah, no, but I do think that the scale is the most exciting thing. Yeah. And the pace at being able to do stuff. That's one of the things I love about OC is that we're doing so much and we have this scale, but then we're also doing things really quickly. And that's just been so fun to do. And I just want to continue doing that around the world.
Abby, that's a perfect end to what has been a beautiful Shoot Room Session podcast, which I couldn't wait to get you on. I think from day one, you have brought a genuine diversity of background, of experience, of thought, of personality, and we are just so much better a team for having you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. That's us done.
Okay.